You know what most beginners do with options? They light money on fire, then call it learning. They buy calls because some guy with a rocket emoji told them Nvidia's about to explode. Then they discover two things at once. One, the clock is not decorative. And two, the market enjoys humiliating people in public. So today, I want to show you a different approach. Not a sexy approach. Not a Lamborghini thumbnail approach. Not the turn $400 into financial freedom by Friday approach. I want to show you the wheel strategy. It is slower, it is more boring, it is less cinematic, and for that exact reason, it is one of the few option strategies beginners can actually understand without accidentally volunteering their rent money. If you're new to options, this is the video I wish people started with. At its core, the wheel is very simple. You start by selling a cash-secured put on a stock you'd be okay owning. If you don't get assigned, you keep the premium and do it again. If you do get assigned, you now own 100 shares. Then you sell covered calls on those shares. If the shares get called away, great. You go back to selling cash-secured puts. That's the whole loop. Put, maybe assignment, call, maybe shares called away, repeat. It's called the wheel because it goes in circles, which is fitting, because so do most traders' emotions. One moment they want premium, then they want assignment, then they don't want assignment, then they want the stock to go up, then not too much. Then they panic because it did exactly what they asked for, just in the wrong emotional sequence. The wheel does not remove this chaos. It just gives it a structure. The wheel is based on a simple idea. Instead of buying options and needing a big move fast, you sell options and let time work for you. That's the big mental flip. Beginners usually think options are about being right. They think, I predicted up, stock went up, therefore I win. No, that is adorable, but no. When you buy options, being directionally right is often not enough. You also need the move to happen fast enough and far enough to overcome the premium you paid. When you sell options, your life gets a little less dramatic. Now time decay is helping you. You collect premium up front. You are no longer begging for a cinematic move before Friday. You are selling someone else the right to be wrong expensively. That's the appeal. Not magic, not infinite yield. Just better alignment between probability, patience, and not being an idiot. This is the part people try to skip because it's not fun. They want the strategy, they want the delta, they want the expiration, they want the secret, they want the spreadsheet. Meanwhile, they're trying to wheel a stock they absolutely do not want to own. That is not a strategy. That is a hostage situation. The first rule of the wheel is only run it on a stock you would genuinely be okay buying and holding. Because assignment is not some freak accident. It is part of the design. If your reaction to assignment is, oh no, now I own this trash, then you already failed the first test. So what does that mean in practice? For a beginner, your stock should have decent liquidity, active options chain, tight spreads, and liquid contracts that let you get filled without donating edge on every trade. No, this could drop 47% because the CEO tweeted in all caps, energy, and most importantly, a business you'd still respect if you got assigned tomorrow. The wheel will not save bad stock selection. It just makes bad stock selection feel professional for a little longer. Let's start the wheel. A cash-secured put means you sell a put while holding enough cash to buy 100 shares if assigned. And yes, one options contract is almost always 100 shares. That matters a lot. Because beginners love saying, I sold one put with the confidence of a hedge fund manager, then realize they just committed several $1,000s of collateral. Now, before you ask me what delta means, no, it is not a Greek airline. Delta is a rough probability proxy, not a promise. A 0.3 delta option is commonly treated like roughly a 30% chance of finishing in the money, which means roughly a 70% chance it stays out. It's not exact. It's just a useful rule of thumb for strike selection. For beginners, the default settings are around 30 to 45 days to expiration, around 0.3 delta out of the money. And 30 to 45 DTE matters because that's where time decay starts becoming useful without forcing you into hyperactive weekly nonsense. Here's what you are saying when you sell that put. I am willing to buy 100 shares of this stock at this strike price by this expiration date. In exchange, you pay me a premium now. That's it. You are getting paid for being willing to buy a stock lower. Not lower in fantasy, lower in contract form. So the beginner version is, find a stock you actually want. Sell an out-of-the-money cash-secured put, around 30 to 45 days out, around 0.3 delta. Collect premium. That is your entry ticket. Two things can happen. Outcome one, the put expires worthless. Beautiful. You keep the premium. You never buy the shares. You sell another put. Outcome two, you get assigned. Also fine. Now you buy 100 shares at the strike price. And this is where beginners often act like something has gone terribly wrong. It hasn't. You sold a contract saying you were willing to buy the shares there. Then you bought the shares there. That's not failure. That's follow-through. This is the part of the video where people go get coffee and never come back. Now let's talk about the concept that separates I sell options from I have no idea what my spreadsheet is saying. Cost basis. When you sell a put and collect premium, that premium reduces your effective entry. Example, you sell a put at a 50 strike. You collect $2 in premium. That's $200 total. If you get assigned, your gross purchase is 50 per share, but your effective cost basis is 48. That matters, because once you own the shares and move to covered calls, your covered call decisions should be made in relation to that adjusted cost basis, not your emotional attachment to round numbers. This is where the wheel stops being cute and starts becoming bookkeeping, which, by the way, is why most people quit. They don't hate trading, they hate arithmetic. Once assigned, you own 100 shares. Now you sell a covered call against those shares. That means you are selling someone the right to buy your shares at a chosen strike price by a chosen expiration date. Again, beginner default, out of the money, around 30 to 45 DTE, and critically, at a strike above your adjusted cost basis. So if the shares get called away, you are not locking in a realized loss on the cycle. That last part matters a lot. If your adjusted basis is 48, selling a covered call at 4.6 because the premium looked juicy is how you professionally monetize your own confusion. Don't do that. Again, two things can happen. Scenario A, the covered call expires worthless. Great. You keep your shares, you keep the premium, you sell another covered call. Scenario B, your shares get called away. Also great, if the strike was above your adjusted basis and you accepted that trade-off. This is where people lose the plot emotionally. They sell a covered call. The stock rips through the strike. Then they scream, I lost all that upside. No, you did not lose agreed upon upside. You capped it on purpose in exchange for immediate premium. You made the deal. The deal worked. Now suddenly you're shocked by the existence of the deal. At that point, your shares are gone, your capital is free again, and you go back to step one. Sell another cash-secured put. That is the wheel. Now we need to talk about the favorite hobby of options traders, avoiding emotional closure by calling it management. That's rolling. Rolling just means you close your current short option and open another one, usually farther out in time, and sometimes at a different strike. Beginners here just roll it as if it's some cheat code. It isn't. Rolling is not deleting a problem. It is moving it into the future and charging yourself paperwork. So for beginners, the rule is simple. Roll only if the new trade actually improves the situation in a meaningful way and ideally brings in an additional net credit. Not because you're emotionally offended by the stock price. Not because saying I'm managing sounds cooler than saying I need another month. Let's compress the common disasters. Mistake 1, choosing trash because the premium is high. The market is not handing out free money, it is charging admission for chaos. Mistake 2, not understanding collateral. One contract is 100 shares, always. Mistake 3, ignoring liquidity. Wide spreads eat you alive quietly. Mistake 4, selling calls below cost basis. This is how people turn a premium strategy into a damage confirmation ritual. Mistake 5, thinking assignment is a bug. It is not. It is part of the machine. Mistake 6, running the wheel on a stock you secretly hate. This is the worst one. If assignment ruins your week, your stock selection was wrong before your strike selection even mattered. If I had to explain the wheel in one clean sentence, it would be this. The wheel is a strategy where you get paid to try to buy a stock lower, and if you do end up buying it, you then get paid to try to sell it higher. That's the whole thing. Paid to enter, paid to wait, paid to exit. It gives beginners a framework, a loop, a checklist, a way to stop treating options like scratch-off tickets for men with chart subscriptions. So is the wheel perfect? No. If the stock collapses hard, premium will not save you. The option is not the main risk. The stock is. If the underlying drops hard, you still own a falling asset. If you pick garbage, the strategy becomes a very elegant way to acquire garbage repeatedly. If the stock explodes upward, your covered call can cap your upside and leave you staring at what could have been, which is the market's favorite form of psychological tax. But for beginners, this is still one of the cleanest ways to understand options without starting from pure chaos. Because it teaches the right foundations. Collateral matters, stock selection matters more than premium, time decay matters, cost basis matters, assignment is not failure. If you want a strategy that makes you feel like a genius every 12 minutes, this is not it. If you want a strategy that teaches you how options actually work, and maybe keeps you from donating money to people who sell courses from inside rented supercars, the wheel is a very solid place to start. I trade daily, I run the math, and I share exactly what I'm doing. If you want my watch lists and my trade logs, subscribe to the free newsletter linked below. Welcome to the Wizolver Log. Let's go collect some premium.